The room is quiet now, the day behind you. Maybe the lights are dim, maybe you've already turned them off, and yet your eyes refuse to close. The world outside is still, but inside your chest there is noise. Thoughts circling, memories replaying, unfinished conversations repeating themselves in echoes that refuse to die down. You tell yourself it's time to sleep, that your body needs the rest, but your heart seems unwilling to let go. And perhaps, instead of fighting it, you could listen to it. Perhaps the reason you're still awake isn't because something is wrong with you, but because some part of you is still asking to be heard. We often think of sleeplessness as a failure, an enemy we must conquer with stronger routines, stricter habits, or heavier distractions. But sometimes sleeplessness is simply a message. Sometimes it is your heart whispering in the quiet, asking you to give it a voice. Think of how much you carry each day without speaking. The frustrations you set aside because you didn't want to complain. The fears you swallowed because you didn't want to worry anyone. The sadness you ignored because there was no space to feel it fully. These things do not disappear. They wait. And often, they wait for the night, when everything else is quiet enough for them to finally rise. That's why the hours before sleep feel so heavy. It isn't just exhaustion, it's the weight of everything you didn't say. Every unshed tear, every unspoken truth, every longing you tucked away because there wasn't time, or courage, or safety to let it out. And now, lying in bed, your body begs for rest, but your heart insists on being heard. Maybe tonight you don't need to silence it. Maybe tonight you can let it speak. You see, there's science behind this too. Researchers studying emotional processing have found that the brain is especially active at night in regions linked to memory and emotion. When you lie down and close your eyes, your mind begins to sort through the clutter of the day, trying to weave meaning from it. This is part of why dreams feel so intense. They are the brain's attempt to give your hidden emotions a stage. And when you struggle to fall asleep, it is often because your brain is still working through something it has not been allowed to process while awake. So what if, instead of resisting, you invited it in? What if, instead of labeling your wakefulness as a flaw, you saw it as an invitation to listen, to pause for the feelings you've been running from, and let them finally have their turn? It doesn't mean spiraling endlessly in thought. It doesn't mean indulging every fear. It means creating a gentle space in your mind where you can ask yourself, what is it that I have not yet said? What part of me is waiting for acknowledgement? And then, without judgment, without rushing to fix, you let that part speak. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's the memory of someone you miss. Maybe it's gratitude you never expressed, or regret you've tried to bury. Whatever it is, it belongs to you, and pretending it isn't there will not make it disappear. Giving it a voice, however, even silently in your own head, can soften it, can allow. There's something tender about these hours when the world has gone quiet. The distractions have fallen away, the endless demands of the day no longer push against you, and for once you are left with nothing but yourself. It can feel uncomfortable at first, even unbearable, because silence leaves space for the truths you avoid. But if you lean into it gently, you begin to notice that this silence is not empty. It is full of memories, of longings, of words you never spoke. And those words want to rise now, in the dark, when no one else is listening but you. Think back to the last time you confided something honestly to another person. Maybe it was years ago. Maybe it was just a small sentence you whispered when you couldn't hold it in anymore. Do you remember how your chest felt afterward? Lighter, looser, as if you had been carrying a weight you didn't even realize was heavy until it was set down. That's what your heart is asking for when you lie awake. It wants to set something down. And even if there's no one beside you to hear it, you can still give it a place to rest. You can be your own witness. Psychologists have long studied the connection between expression and well-being. One landmark discovery is that journaling, simply writing down your feelings without editing them, can significantly reduce stress, improve sleep, and even strengthen the immune system. Why? Because expression transforms chaos into language. What feels like a tangled knot of emotions becomes something you can see, something with edges and form. And once it has a form, it feels less overwhelming. You don't have to write tonight if you don't want to, but the principle remains. When you let your heart speak, in any way, it eases its grip on you. So if the ceiling is your companion right now, if your pillow has become the witness to your racing thoughts, try whispering to yourself what you have been holding back. Say it softly, without shame, even if no one else hears it. I miss them. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. I wish I could rest. Whatever rises, let it out into the quiet. The night can hold it. You don't need to carry it alone. There is also a biological reason this works. At night, your brain releases less of the stress hormone cortisol. Instead, it produces more melatonin, preparing your body for rest. But if emotions are left unspoken, your nervous system remains alert, as if you are still under threat. By acknowledging what's inside, you reassure your brain that it doesn't need to stay on guard. This is why people often say they sleep better after a good cry, or after getting something off their chest. It's not weakness, it's the body's natural way of finding equilibrium. And yet, we often resist. We tell ourselves we shouldn't feel this much, shouldn't think this much, shouldn't still be awake. But what if we dropped the should and simply allowed? Maybe your wakefulness tonight is not a problem to solve, but a moment to honor. Maybe your body and heart are asking you to stop running and finally listen. Let yourself remember, sleeplessness has been part of humanity since the beginning. Ancient cultures spoke of the second sleep, a natural waking period in the middle of the night when people would reflect, pray, or simply sit with their thoughts before drifting off again. What we call insomnia today was once seen as part of the rhythm of life, a space for the soul to speak. We often treat feelings as inconveniences, interruptions to the real work of life. We tell ourselves we'll deal with them later, when there's time. But later rarely comes. So the body finds its own way of demanding attention. Sleeplessness becomes its protest, its way of saying, if you won't stop for me in the daylight, I will find you in the dark. And in a strange way, that is love. It is your heart's way of protecting you, of refusing to let your truths disappear forever under the noise of obligations. What if you stopped fighting it? What if, instead of forcing sleep, you gave the night permission to be what it is, a meeting place between your waking life and your unspoken self? This doesn't mean giving in to endless rumination. It doesn't mean spiraling into every fear. It means allowing the heart to whisper, to place its stories in your hands while you hold them without judgment. Science shows that memory and emotion are deeply intertwined during the hours before and during sleep. The hippocampus, a region of the brain responsible for storing memories, interacts with the amygdala, which processes emotions. When you lie awake, what often rises are the moments the brain has flagged as unfinished, emotions not fully processed, experiences not fully integrated. This is not dysfunction, it's maintenance. Just as your body repairs tissues overnight, your mind repairs meaning. And sometimes, for that repair to happen, you need to listen first. So tonight, maybe let yourself listen. Let yourself ask, what memory keeps returning to me? What feeling do I keep brushing away? And instead of running, sit with it. It may hurt, but hurt does not mean harm. Pain can be the body's way of cleansing, of reminding you that something matters. To feel is not to fail. It is to be human. Think of how children cry before they sleep, their bodies releasing the last of the day's energy, the unspoken emotions they cannot yet name. And then, once the tears are gone, they drift off peacefully. Adults are no different. We may not cry as openly, but the need remains. We need space to let go, to empty what has been carried too long. And if we deny ourselves that, we carry it into the night, where it turns into tossing and turning, into racing thoughts, into a body that refuses to rest. Maybe this is your body asking for release. Maybe this is your chance to soften, to let yourself be vulnerable in the dark. To whisper into the quiet, "I'm tired of carrying this." To let the tears fall if they need to. To let the words escape, even if no one else will ever hear them. The night is safe. It has always been a container for what cannot survive the harshness of daylight. Trust it to hold you. And remember, sleeplessness doesn't erase your worth. You are not less valuable because you can't switch yourself off like a machine. You are not broken because you need more time than others to find rest. You are simply human, living with a heart that insists on being felt. That is not weakness. That is a quiet form of strength, one that refuses to let you become numb. So as the night stretches on, let yourself soften into this truth. If you're still awake, maybe it isn't because something is wrong with you. Maybe it's because something within you is asking to be honored. Maybe your heart just needs a voice. And once it feels heard, you may discover that sleep arrives not as a victory won, but as a gift freely given. The clock has moved forward, though you may not know what time it is anymore. In the dark, minutes blur into hours, and the only rhythm left is your breath. And maybe that's enough. This steady in and out, the simplest proof that you are still here. If you're still awake, it doesn't mean you've failed the night. It just means you're still listening, still carrying the conversation your heart has been trying to have with you all along. It's easy to grow frustrated, to tell yourself that you'll be ruined tomorrow if you don't fall asleep soon. But perhaps this is where gentleness matters most. Sleep cannot be forced, only invited. And invitation begins with compassion. Instead of whispering harsh warnings into your mind, "I'll never make it through the day, I'm wasting my night, I should be asleep by now," try whispering something else. "It's okay to be awake. It's okay to be here. My body will rest when it is ready. For now, I will simply listen." That shift, small as it seems, carries immense power. Neuroscience tells us that when we stop labeling wakefulness as threat, our nervous system begins to calm. The sympathetic fight-or-flight response eases, and the parasympathetic system, the part that allows rest and digestion, takes over. Simply by changing the story you tell yourself, you create the conditions for your body to soften into sleep. But even if sleep does not arrive right away, the calm itself is healing. Rest does not only exist in unconsciousness. Rest also exists in presence, in stillness, in acceptance. So maybe tonight you lie there not asleep, but resting in another way. Resting in honesty. Resting in the simple act of letting your feelings breathe. Resting in the quiet understanding that you do not need to fix everything before the morning. What you need is to stop abandoning yourself when the world grows quiet. And maybe, as you listen, something inside you begins to feel lighter. Not solved, not erased, but lighter. Because feelings, like people, often only want to be acknowledged. They want to know they matter. And when they are given that recognition, they loosen their grip. The knot in your chest softens. The loop of thoughts begins to slow. And little by little, the doorway to sleep opens, not because you kicked it down, but because you stopped rattling the handle and simply waited. Imagine yourself now standing at the edge of a shoreline. Behind you, the day stretches long and heavy. Before you, the ocean of sleep waits, vast and deep. The waves are gentle tonight, but you've been afraid to step in, afraid you'll lose control, afraid of surrendering. Yet the water isn't here to drown you. It's here to carry you. All it asks is that you trust it, that you release your grip on the shore. And when you do, when you let go, you discover the water holds you better than the land ever could. Maybe, before your eyes finally close, you whisper one last thing into the dark. Thank you. Thank you to your body for carrying you. Thank you to your heart for insisting on its truth. Thank you to the night for giving you the silence to hear it. Gratitude softens even the hardest edges, and sometimes that softness is the very thing that guides you into rest. So if you're still awake, remember this. Maybe your heart just needed a voice, and tonight you gave it one. And that is not failure, it is healing. Sleep will come when it is ready. Until then, breathe, rest, and know you are already enough. And when it does come, when your eyes finally close and your body surrenders, it will not be because you forced it. It will be because you listened, because you allowed yourself to be human, because you trusted the night to hold you. And in that trust, you will drift, gently, quietly, into the ocean of sleep.